I'm Dave.
And I'm Peter. This is Speed Academy. Welcome to our shop. So our shop is very, very clean. We just finished a full cleanup, including the floors. So you guys have come at the right time because everything is spick and span. What isn't spick and span is my M5 Wagon. This was a video series that Dave and I did. He built a Lexus LS 430 with a supercharger, and I essentially took an M5 sedan and swapped everything over into a wagon. And man,
super easy job, everyone. It was no work at all.
3 months later, we have what I think is one of the coolest automobiles ever around.
Yep.
The E39 M5 era, I think, was peak BMW, and all I've done is just added a little bit more space to the back, created the perfect wagon. So this thing is super, super cool. I had to do it. I had to do it.
Had to have it perfect.
And that's why I call it perfection.
All right.
Okay. So this is our area where our tools reside. Obviously, you know, this is your standard toolbox with a whole bunch of sockets. We do have everything labeled here. So pliers, hammers, Milwaukee tools. And speaking of Milwaukee tools, we are huge fans of them.
We are. We have all of their cordless electric stuff, and this is their latest and greatest one, which is super fast. This is just like your Chinese variety bench slash tool storage, really, which we have a lot of other random stuff in. We've even got our quick jack lines and blocks and stuff in here, which we'll show you the quick jack in a second.
Yeah, right here. So this thing is super cool. Obviously, we have a nice bend pack post, but being able to, you know, work on the ground here, and this is something for everybody at home. You can lay out this quick jack and it slides underneath, and you can raise a car up like...
It's like a scissor lift type thing, and it'll lift it about, I would say, 3 feet.
Yeah.
It makes it much easier to get under than you would, say, on jack stands in your home garage. So, by the way, in the cabinets here, we've got all of our oils in this cabinet.
Valvoline, of course.
Yep, we are Valvoline guys. And over here, we've got a bunch of paint and cleaners and a bunch of Sonax detailing supplies. We use a lot of Sonax stuff for making the paint on our cars shiny. And down here we've got just random stuff, really. A bunch of specialty tools. We should also be wearing our masks right now because COVID, but we've both been vaccinated. We've been in the same bubble the whole time. It's all good, everyone. Don't panic.
One of the newest additions to our shop have been these bend pack 4 posts, and they have been incredible to increase our space for hoarding, which is essentially what I love to do. Hoarding cars is a passion of mine, and the more space you have, the more cars you can hoard.
Yes, we've enabled his hoarding, or at least Bend Pack has, and these things are pretty awesome. They're really compact, really, and they're actually quite easy to move around. As you can see, we offset them recently to tuck them in a little tighter, because we're making room for another one that's going to go over here, which means Pete gets to do even more car shopping.
That's right. Behold, Godzilla the R34 Gtr. With us being up in Canada, we actually have a huge advantage over a lot of you in the US, and that is our import lot is 15 years or older, which means we can bring in vehicles like this, and we are going to be building it, which is something we shouldn't be doing because this is a pristine, all original car. But
we're gonna cut the fenders, put huge flares on it.
Of course, airbags, do all of that because our name is Speed Academy, and so we need to modify vehicles.
Gotta go big. We're not actually gonna cut it up. It's gonna be a very tasteful, I think a very high quality build with some really nice parts. Very JDM focused, I would say, and we're gonna build it off against that guy over there, that A80 Supra. Before we talk about that, maybe you should mention this dusty little thing here.
You know, it's springtime. I'm pulling out my summer car, which is a Porsche 930 911 Turbo. I had the engine built at TurboCraft. It was a 3.3 liter originally. It had some burnt ringlands. So I took it down there, and Chris and his team and Mike did an amazing job. We put a 3.4 liter Molly piston and cylinder kit into it. We've got a Garrett GT35R on there, and it makes almost 500 to the tire. It is quite the weapon on the road. It's terrifying. Too fast.
It's terrifying. As a passenger, it's terrifying.
I've turned the boost down to like 400-ish, so it feels more manageable. But yeah, it's dirty because it's just come out of hibernation. It's been sitting in the back, which, speaking of, as you can see, we do have a ton of cars. But let's go over to the Supra here.
And on our way, we did just pick up an ATCL aluminum trailer because we're ballers like that. And the A80 Supra is not really baller spec. It's certainly not as minty fresh as that R34.
No.
This is also a right-hand drive import, and we picked it up locally at what was really quite a bargain, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it is a little rough as a result of the price being as low as it was. So it's going to need a lot more cosmetic work than the GTR will. But it's certainly worth saving. It's by no means rotten.
It's got good bones. That's the whole thing. It's a very, very clean car. And you know, what we do on the channel is we buy cars of kind of this caliber and then fix them up to be, you know, as good or even better than the GTR, because that's going to be the challenge here. Mm-hmm. It's going to be Godzilla versus the Supra to see who comes out the victor. And what we'll end up doing is we'll build both these vehicles and then take them to the racetrack.
Yep.
And run a bunch of performance tests on them and see which one we like better and which one, you know, does better.
Since I'm the serious fabricator around here, and if you watch our channel, you'll know that's a lie. Nevertheless, throwing on the Miller welding jacket here because I'm going to whip up a brake duct for you guys. Show you how good I really am at this metalwork stuff. You ready? Here we go. Bam! Look at that, everybody. That's how you do it. It's magic. This whole metalwork thing, it's just magic. Or if you watch Pete, occasionally he does actually use his Miller MIG and TIG, or TIG and MIG. I don't even know which one is the MIG and which one is the TIG. That's how little fabricating I do around here, but Pete's got that all figured out. And over here we have a drilling and milling machine, which has had a fair bit of use lately, actually. If you go check out our episode on tuning up our trailer, Pete did some good mill work on here. This sander here comes in super handy for just about anything metal that we need to clean up, whether Pete's fabricating something and it needs to clean up ends or joints, or sometimes if we're cleaning up a car part, you know, we want to get rust off it, we might do that on here, although more often than not, we would do that on our metal brush over here. So this is more my speed in the fabricating area, everyone. I come over here and clean up rusty nuts and bolts while Pete does the high paid work. And this, of course, is the bandsaw, which gets used for metal predominantly, but as you can see, there's a bit of wood on there because we've been doing a little cleanup around here and some wood has been involved. Right next to our fabrication area, we have these new Ranger tire mounter and balancer setup. These have come in super handy for just, you know, mounting up wheels and tires, which we do a lot of around here considering the number of project cars that we take on. So rather than having to like run around the corner to a wheel and tire place and begging them to mount it up and then maybe having them damage our wheel, now we get to damage our own wheels and mount our own tires up, and it's actually a really satisfying process. These machines make it very easy, very doable, even for guys like Pete and I who don't do it every day, and sometimes we need a quick refresher on the internet how to use the machines, but once you kind of get in the groove with it, works amazingly well. So these are awesome to have, and we're really lucky to have them here. All right, PT, racking. We just put a whole bunch of new racking in here, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And our biggest problem with the shop was prior to this, we were just like having stuff laying on the floor all the time. We had to move stuff around. It was, you know, engines were sticking out. There was boxes here and there. And now we've got all of the vertical shelving we need to store stuff, much like these.
Ooh.
This is not product placement at all.
Look at those boxes.
Konig just happens, we just happen to have a bunch of awesome Konig wheels kicking around here. So
they will be featured on some other JDM legends that we've got coming up soon too.
Right,
so
that's right.
Stay tuned for that. And as you can see, we do like our Japanese brands. We got lots of good stuff going on here, but we do also build some Euro stuff.
Yes.
We even built a Mustang, so we're not afraid to do the domestic stuff. Maybe a Corvette build later this year. We'll see how that pans out. And of course, we've got our wheel here from the build-off between the M5 and the Lexus. That would have been an interesting challenge.
A ride quality challenge.
It's not the one we ended up with.
Indeed.
If you want to find out which challenge won, go watch that series. It's the most recent build series on our channel, and it is really entertaining.
Super cool. Here we have another favorite pastime of mine, and that is hoarding engines, because you can never have enough engines when you're in our business.
It's true.
And it's actually paid off because
has.
I've purchased a bunch of, there's some 2Js tucked in behind there,
Yep.
and the price of those has gone like past Race Wars spec, you know?
Yeah, it's Bitcoin Alley back there. There is some value in those motors, and I mean, JDM engines in general are not getting any cheaper,
No,
are they?
they certainly are not.
We picked up this EJ25 6 months ago before they started to go too crazy on price. It's an F20C that we bought years ago.
Yes.
And that's probably doubled in value. You got a greasy old SR20 here.
SR20, which, you know, at this point, used ones are selling for like $6,000, which seems kind of crazy.
Yeah. F20.
Yep. And an RB26, where I'm not going to spoil the surprise what this is going into, but And we also have a VQ, which we did a drift build and we bought a 350Z that had a blown motor and swapped it in. So this is just sitting here waiting until we build it or I get bored of it and sell it.
If you're a car hoarder like Pete, one other very useful tool to have around is these go jacks, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. These have come in critical and
use them every
so
week.
useful almost every week.
Yep.
And it just gives you the ability to raise a car up and move it around very easily. You can actually do it by yourself. There's knockoffs of these and they don't work as well. These Zendex ones
they're the way to go.
So good.
Yeah. Save you a ton of hassles trying to move stuff around in the shop. So they're a very valuable tool. Hope you enjoyed that quick tour of our shop here,
yes.
right? Why don't we sign off with some floor angels now that we got this floor clean enough to eat off of.
Ooh, I like that idea.
You ready?
This
All right,
would be fantastic.
Let's do it. And in case you guys are wondering, yes, we are wearing the same shoes, but it's just because Continental Tire loves us that much. Oh yeah, those are good floor angels. That feels good. It's like yoga. Man, I got no range.